So today I'm replacing the inlet manifold on a Land Rover Discovery 4. A couple of weeks ago I did the oil cooler replacement, which you can see on another one of my videos. It would have been good if the manifold could have cracked before I did that job, as it would have made it a whole lot easier. But a couple of days after I did that job, a crack appeared. Don't think it was there before, but it's certainly there now. So it's just the left hand side. So here we go. So we pull that off the, assume it's a transmission cooler, but that will drain the coolant out for us. So we have to remove these clips. That's just so you can get the bonnet into service mode. Yes. That's a combination of that and that. 36mm. I didn't have a 36mm, so I made one up on my plasma. So to pull the injectors out, I've made an adapter for my slide hammer. That's M14 1.5 thread. Too easy, one injector. There's the... So these fuel rail return pipes come off by pulling up the cap. The actual top part comes up. That bar stays in place, but the cap lifts up, and then you can pull the connector off. To get the left-hand side manifold off, we need to take, or it's not so much off as prized away. So I need to take that bolt out, that bolt out. There's one under there. There's one over here. That one as well, for good measure. There's one down there. There's one there, which is next to the timing hole. And then I think there's one down there. I haven't actually got to that one yet. So flipped over, of course. We've got that one, that one. There's one down here. That's the one I haven't got to. I've got that one. Those two. Did that one as well. And that should give me sufficient room to just prise it off, so I can just get to the bolts just behind. So I've got all the bolts out. We'll just wedge it open so you can get to the two that are hidden down there. Now I'm foxed by the EGR valve, and one of the bolts for the head manifold, I should say, is, you've got one there, one under there, one under there, and then the one at the back. So somehow this has got to come undone. So I've managed to get that bracket out. The EGR does bolt to it. It bolts to it through that hole there, but then you've just got two into the block and the bracket comes out, so not part of the EGR valve. All the other bolts I've got disconnected. Just got to get to the three at the back. On there. There's one under there, and then there's one here somewhere, I think it is, at the top. That one shouldn't be so bad.
Problem is that you've got this bracket here, you can just see the end, which fits onto the 3 studs at the back, or 2 or 3 studs at the back. Bit of a bastard to get to. So I've got the bracket off. Bit of a squeeze, but it's done. This is the arrangement I use to get to the bolts. It's got 2 swivels and a 10mm on the end. Pulling the manifold out is made harder by the bolts dangling down through the holes. It catches on your cams and what have you when you pull it through, but it's doable. There we go. So we got the thing out of there. Success. I hope that was the hard part, but we'll see on reassembly, trying to remember where everything goes. I did do a smoke test on this manifold before I took it off. There's no crack as such. What it was doing is splitting and coming through there. So it's defective. It's really stiff. You can't really bend it by hand, but the pressure of the turbos when they were running at about over 2,500 RPM would lift it. So that was my problem. A smoke test's a good idea if you can get access to one. So clean up and then start thinking about putting it back together. So today we're going to try and get all of that back into there. Managed to get the manifold on there with the gasket in place. The bolts are held into the holes by rubber fittings. This means that they dangle down as you're putting them in. But if you take the bolts out of the holes, the gasket falls off as you're trying to put it on. So what I ended up doing was putting cable ties in all of the holes around the outside. I left the 2 middle bolts in and then put the head on, put the manifold on, and then cut the cable ties. And that worked. So it's really important to torque them down. Evenly. So these are the correct crush rings for the injectors. I've seen them for as much as $23 each. But if you know the Bosch part number, you can get 10 for around about $16. They're shared with many vehicles, not just Land Rover. Just a little bit of carbon built up around the seat. You don't touch the end. Just clear that little bit of carbon out. Not that. Where's my thing gone? Yeah. Just so the crush washer fits better. That's a nice fit. Just paid to just put the teeniest bit of grease, I mean nothing, under the seat so it doesn't fall out when you put it in. Just a tiny little bit. There's injector. As you know, don't drop it. So I'm going to torque down the injector clamp bolts to 10 Newton meters. That's my setup for leaning on top of the engine. You need something like that. That's actually really good because you don't feel hardly anything. That's in fact the shipping pad that came off the bottom of my recent welder purchase. Been good. Been an agony without it. Now the instructions for doing this job tell you should be replacing basically everything. Apart from the injectors themselves, just all the supply lines need to be changed. I mean, that big long one over the back, which you can't even get to. Obviously all the seals, I mean, I've done those. But we'll have to see how it goes, because I mean, you're talking a lot of money to replace all of those pipes and fittings. They look serviceable, so we'll see how we go there. And it even say you should be placing the clamps. Now, it's a 4mm piece of thick piece of 3 or 4mm thick piece of steel. I find that hard to believe that really needs doing, but they're the experts. But we'll disobey them. It's 20% off the max there. Don't take it up to 10. That's 10. That's 10. So, starting to close in on it now. Got to put the crossover pipe in. All the injectors out. Don't forget to put that rubber boot on before you put the fuel rail on, at least. You can't put it on without. Mine ended up going into 3 pieces, but that's okay. Could be alright. Got a few mystery wires at the moment. Not quite sure what some of them do, but I'm sure we'll work that out. So, starting to get to the end, maybe. I've got to bleed the fuel system. That you do there. Obviously I'll do that when I put the battery back in, but so far so good. So pretty much all buttoned up. Injectors are all back in and they're all torqued down to spec. I was going to put that clip on. Good job I noticed that. If you haven't got yourself a pair of these pliers, then I highly recommend that you do. They lock it, so it makes it life a lot easier, particularly in some of the tight spaces. Just click them when they come off. So just bleeding the fuel system. You need a shrouder connector. Unfortunately, that's the only one I could find. It's actually off a bicycle pump and it leaks. But anyway, you cycle the ignition on. But it only runs for 30 seconds. See the bubbles coming out? You need to get rid of, well, all of the bubbles really. So there we have it, job done. I'm an older, wiser and dirtier man now. It's not an undoable job. Everything working on a Land Rover, everything you do seems to be just within your grasp, but almost not quite. You should get there. And that applies to the manifold too. I'm going to run it. I'm still looking for leaks. I'm going to run it as it is without covers on for a few days, just to see if I can work out if there are any leaks. And also the belly pans are off. I did find other leaks which are unrelated. My evacuation tube for the engine oil, the seals on that were leaking, so I managed to replace those. But otherwise, hoping it's done. I suspect that the right hand side, the other side that I've done, is also leaking. So I'm probably going to have to be doing that one soon. But yeah, took about 3 days, but I didn't do full days. I think to do both sides, they say 16 hours in the book, and I would imagine that is probably about right. It's just so tight. Anyway, I hope that helped. Thanks for your time.